Do you know what it's like to get up and give a talk after you've been in that? Thank you, Celebration. We are blessed and we are victorious. Thank you guys very much. Thank you, band. So happy belated Thanksgiving. Did you have a good holiday? Did you have enough turkey and stuffing and all the gravy and mashed potatoes? I've had enough for several days. Did you guys have a good Friendsgiving? Did anybody have a Friendsgiving? Yeah, we did have Friendsgiving. I just learned that term this year, and I guess it showed up in 2009 in the Urban Dictionary for the first time, but it really caught traction last year. And this year, I think even more people are celebrating with friends and neighbors rather than their family for Thanksgiving. And Barna, a research group that does research around culture and faith, sends me information, and I was reading that, and it said that 1/4 of all of Americans did a Friendsgiving this year, which was celebrating with neighbors and friends. And millennials actually uptick that to 30%. And millennials are likely to say that friends are more like family than any of the rest of us. So there's change happening in our culture, change in the way that we do relationships, change in how we do holidays. And it's a good thing, is it not? I think so too. I think we're kind of catching on to the whole message of what we're here to do and what we're here to be about. And the relationship is all what it's about, truthfully. And I looked up relationship in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, and it said, the way in which two or more concepts, objects, or people are connected. That is a relationship. It's a way we are bonded with one another. And this made me kind of go into thought as I was preparing for this message, and I thought about our relationships, and I settled into one thought, and that's that there is one relationship that is eternal. One. Anybody care to guess what that is? Our relationship with the divine. Our relationship with that which has created us, which our life depends upon. It made me think about Dr. Vern Barnett, who was the instructor for our seminary class when I was in seminary in Kansas City. He was the head of the Cress Interfaith Council, and he's since retired. But he shared with us a perspective of relationship with that which is sacred. And he took all of the world's religions and encapsulated them into three. And I think it's beneficial for us to just take a quick glimpse into those three. There's the primal faiths that were ancient Egyptian, Greek, Roman, Inca, Mayan. They're the Native American traditions, and also African American tribes, where they believed they found and related to and was in relationship with the sacred in nature, that interconnectedness with our ecology and our earth. So that was one group of faith traditions, and that was the primal. The second group of faith traditions was Asian in nature, and that group is composed of, let me find my notes here, the Hindus, Buddhists, Jainism, Confucianism, and Taoism, etc. And all of these Asian faith traditions find and relate to the sacred in consciousness and in our awareness of a higher self. And the third group of world religions was the monotheistic. And that was traditions like Judaism, Christianity, let me go over here, Islam, Baha'i, Zoroastrianism. It's all of those that believe in one presence in the divine. And the way that they experience that sacredness is in covenanted history, a relationship of history in a covenanted relationship. So I looked up covenant. And a covenant is an agreement that brings about a relationship of commitment between God and his people. A relationship. So I'm wondering, how do you see your relationship with the divine? It's an interesting thought, isn't it? We in Unity pull from all faith traditions. We recognize and honor the truth in every faith. It's almost like it's a mountain, and we're all climbing on different trails, but it's all leaning to and leading us to the same presence and the same power, which is God. But how do we relate to it? Have you ever really thought of that? Is it something outside of you? Is it something near you? Is it something in you? Wherever you are in our dualistic realm of thinking, of being on this planet, it may be some level of all of that. But it's a very good practice to bring it to mind to see, how am I in relationship with this one relationship that is eternal, that birthed us and knitted us together in our mother's womb, that knows every single hair on our head, that knows every life experience, every word we've ever spoken, that loves us, feel this with me, loves us with an everlasting love. Can you sink your toes into that everlasting love for you, the beloved of God, the daughter and the son of God? So we are in a relationship with the divine, and we are walking through this earthly realm. And when Jesus was walking through this earthly realm, someone asked him, he said in Matthew 22:36 through 40, someone said, "Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest?" And he said to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your mind. This is the greatest and the first commandment." Do we love God in the relationship that you have with the divine? Do you feel love? And do you feel love for that divine? It is the greatest and the first commandment. The second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all of the laws and the prophets. Don't you just love that Jesus said, "And you shall love your neighbor as yourself"? What happened to family? Do you think he forgot? I don't think so. I think Jesus was way ahead of us and understood that it is our family, but it's not just our family, it's every relationship. So he just leapt over to our neighbors. He knew the family. He knew the family. He was already there, and it had already encompassed that love. So it's this presence of love that loves us eternally that we get to be in connection with. And we get to be in connection with it to the point where it fills us to overflowing. And when it overflows from us, then it goes out and touches all of our relationships, every single one of our relationships. This one teaching that we need to love God and love our neighbor as ourselves is the one Christian faith that almost all Christian faiths hang their teachings. It's it in a nutshell. So how do we create safe and sacred space with our family? Those near and dear to us, those loved ones that we can say harsh things to where we wouldn't say it even to a neighbor, with an energy behind it that you would never want to say to anybody. Sometimes it slips out to our spouses or to our children or to maybe our parents or our brothers or our sisters. Am I the only one who's ever done that? I have done that, and I think that there's some language, some practical language that we can bring into this holiday season to help create safe and sacred space. Some very simple phrases. I'm going to give you 4 of them. The first of them is, "I love you." I love you. Our beloveds, our spouses, our wives, our husbands, they need to hear this from us. And they need to hear it in a way that is truly meaningful and not just rote. I love you because. One of my favorites for Brian is, I love you because you bring joy into my everyday life, into the most ordinary things. I love you for that. Thank you. It's meaningful. It's meaningful to tell those that you love, your children, your parents. Your parents need to hear this. They need to, even if they're 80 and you're 60, they need to know you love them. I love you. Another one is when we do something we didn't intend to do, like leave a cabinet door open and someone else walks into it. Ouch. We say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. The way I saw it was this, and I didn't intend you harm. I'm sorry. The next one is, please forgive me. Please forgive me. Don't carry a heavy burden of accounts of rights and wrongs. It becomes like a backpack on our back that gets heavier and heavier with each new occurrence and a grievance that we put back there. Let it go. So please forgive me. And the last one is, I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you so that we can be free, that we can be present, that we can love each other and not waste a moment, not a moment of time. So that's one practice, is the language that we use with our loved ones. Second, I want to give you two more practices, some practical things that you can do, but I have to set them up a little bit. And Brian made sure that I explained this one term. Has anyone ever heard of pain body? Quite a few of you. Eckhart Tolle actually is the one that brought forth this term in his works, and I love it because it gave me language to hold on to something I hadn't ever really heard spoken before. It is a collective manifestation of all pain, misery, and sorrow a person has ever gone through in their entire life, and all the things that they inherited from their culture and from their family as well. And a person's pain body feeds and strengthens itself by making themselves and others miserable. Yes. Okay, so you know what a pain body is. And if you're dating someone, make sure that you know what their pain body level is. It's a very good thing to be paying attention to, because you're going to journey with them. You're going to go through a relationship with them, and you're going to have to be present to what their emotional state is. So, all right, you know what a pain body is. And I've been doing a practice lately where I have been going into that which disturbs the calm peace of my mind. Not running away from it, but going into it. And we were leaving, I'm going to give you an example. We were leaving Seattle a couple of weeks ago, and we had to get up at 3 a.m. to get onto the airplane. And so we had a very short night, and in that very short night, Brian was sleeping in a ball next to me, and which gave me about this much room on the bed, and I was like, oh, I don't want to wake him up because I don't want to disturb the peace of the sleep that he does get. But what actually ended up happening is I couldn't get comfortable, and I ended up waking him up anyway. So we had a very short night's sleep. And we woke up, and I was hungry, and we were putting all the things back into the bags, making sure we got it all, and kind of be quiet because we didn't wake up his mom. And I walk into the kitchen, here's Brian eating cereal, and I'm like, oh, don't worry about me. I can get it myself. He made me get my own cereal. And then, so the morning goes along, we get to the airport, and I'm in heels, and I'm walking along, and I'm having trouble keeping up with my tennis shoe-clad beloved husband. And I'm like, I can't keep up, and I'm feeling left behind. So I'm tired, I'm hungry, I just am out of sorts, and I'm on the plane. And I'm realizing that I feel like the weather around me, you know, that this dark, wet, rainy, kind of foggy type of feeling is really where I was at inside. And as we started to climb out of that, I took a picture of that just to share with you. It's like we can break through that. We can break through it to the light of dawn, to the freedom of spirit. And then I thought to myself, oh, I wonder if I should practice my own teaching and my own belief on going into it. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to go into this. So on the airplane, I did this, and I took some notes so that you could feel the example of what this is like. Let me share with you the process. Basically, you set aside some time, and you go into meditation, undisturbed. And what I do is kind of envision white light. The presence of God is at hand and in my conscious awareness. And then I invite an avatar, a teacher, mine is Jesus, to just show me the way through this. Show me the way. And I call it my GPS. Instead of global positioning system, it's my God positioning system that will allow me to go down deep into whatever it might be that is disturbing my peace. And in that state of going in, I just feel, and what always happens is something is revealed to me, an understanding of where this is coming from. This is the untethered soul's thorn, you know, that we kind of hide. It's the button that gets triggered within us. It's something within us that is coming up to be healed. It's coming up to be released, and this is our opportunity to do so. It's a gift to us, and it's a gift our beloveds help us to dive into. And then we find our freedom. We get through it eventually, and we find our freedom. But I wanted to share with you some live notes I was taking on the plane. I'm going in, right? Anger, sadness, sleeping in a small space, not wanting to wake Brian and trying to get comfortable, not considered at breakfast. Yeah. Feeling left behind and hungry. And about this time, the flight attendant's coming down the aisle offering food and beverage, so I come out of my meditation. Not a wise idea, because remember that pain body I was telling you about? Well, that pain body gets active, and I was like, not a word. Don't say a word, because I was frustrated. I was in it, and I was immersed in those own inner feelings. Thank you, God, I didn't say a word. Recognizing this when I went back in, it is alive in my awareness. It is mine to deal with, mine alone to heal. Controlling outside of me is useless because the feeling is alive in my energy field. That's where it is existing. Linked to my childhood experiences of feeling like I wasn't considered and like I didn't matter. Ah, the button. This morning's experience touched this inner owie. That's what is asking to be healed. I'm going deeper into it. Immense agony. Didn't you think you were going to get a light word of love and truth today? Immense agony. And I got to tell you this, it does feel that way when you go into it, but as you stick with it, it begins to abate. But in the Heal documentary that we had here the other night, I heard this phrase, your pain is your portal to freedom. It is your portal. It is our gift. It is what's asking to be healed. Please heal this in me so it no longer hurts. It is no longer a sore and no longer an owie, no longer a button to be pushed. So I'm going into it. And immense agony, I think, is where we left off. After a while, and I put in parentheses, hours, it begins to reside. And I remain committed and dedicated to surrendering the structure of it and the foundation of this in my ego. And I got to tell you, this felt bigger than just me. It felt like I had inherited this from my parents and my grandparents. It felt very old, very, very old. Sensing my dedication, it begins to flee, and I follow it like a miner would follow a vein of gold deep down into the earth of my being. I get to what feels like an aluminum structure, flimsy and easily bent out of shape, and I surrender it to God. Finally, I fall into what feels like a deep meditation or a very light sleep. And after emerging from that, I feel a sense of balance and of peace and freedom. Freedom. John was sharing with me between services that this is the process that Conscious Conversations walks one through. If you want to deepen your awareness in that process, if it's alive in you and you want to work with it and you want to heal it, you might want to consider to come to Conscious Conversations. It's the first Thursday of the month from 7 to 9. Did I get that right, John? Healing, freedom, a practice that's practical, that we can practice in our relationships. And it's not about going out there to solve the problem where I think it is. It's about cleaning up my side of the net. I've often thought of relationship as a tennis game. And our partner plays their side of the net, and we play our side of the net. I am responsible for my side of the net. Now, there are situations and circumstances in life that are unhealthy and unwholesome, and family systems that need support in a greater degree, that require counseling, professional counseling, social support. If that is the case, I encourage you to go to seek out that guidance and that help, and to change the dynamics to where you are safe and healthy and whole. I am a minister. I am going to do and deal and speak to our life's healing from the spiritual side and from our side of the net, what we can do to be free. So this is one practice, is to go into it. Go into it with an avatar that you trust. The second way of dealing with these things that can bring us greater freedom and greater security and safety and well-being, greater sacredness, if you will, in this time of holiday season, is to untie the knots at a soul level. The mystics have deciphered the Lord's Prayer in Forgive Us for Our Trespasses as untie the knots that bind me. Untie those knots. This practice is called untying the knots at a soul level. And again, you take a higher power, your teacher, someone you trust, and you ask them to go through this process with you. It's very brief and simple. And you're asking that that one that you trust, your avatar, your guide, helps you to untie yellow ribbons between you and your beloved. And it has to do with releasing power that you may have given them or that you may have assumed from them. And when you go into doing this, you speak to them with love and gentleness and kindness. And you assure them that what you're doing is for the highest good for both of you. It's not removing the love. It's actually freeing the love to become its full expression. So you basically state, and I'm going to use myself as an example, I, Kristen Marie Grandon, at a soul level, willingly take back all of my power with love from my stepfather who's passed. Doesn't matter, person can be alive or passed. I take back my power with love from my stepfather at a soul level. And then you reverse it. I, Kristen Marie Grandon, at a soul level, willingly give back any power with love that I took away from my stepfather at a soul level. Seeing those yellow knots unfurl and freedom existing in that relationship. I read something this week about forgiveness. It's not condoning what happened. It's saying, I'm not going to hold this against you any longer. Do you feel the freedom that that gives us when we let it go? We free ourselves when we forgive. So 2 practices, well actually 3, the language that we use, the language with our loved ones, let them know we love them, forgive them, ask forgiveness. Practice going into it. Whatever is disturbing the calm peace of your mind, dive into it. Free the power that may have been entangled between you and your relationships. And you may want to use a combination of both of these practices. You can use them both at the same time. It says in Colossians, faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. Faith is great, and it's important, and it connects us with the divine, and hope gives us a sense of vision for the future. But love Love is that unifying, harmonizing power of the universe that can transform everything, every relationship, every feeling inside of us. It's where the rubber meets the road. It's the most important thing of all. So love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your mind, and all of your spirit. And love your neighbor, your family, and yourself. Namaste.